There we go. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I am your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And today we're going to be talking about some home safety hacks. I want to make sure that you guys know to join the membership, like and subscribe. Hit that like button while we're going live. Those of you that are watching us from TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter, you can click the link, approve the mic, approve the camera, and then you can jump in real time. I'm talking on the screen, and the rest of you that are coming in from TikTok. You guys have this invitation option in the bottom of your screen. You'll be able to dive in as well and be able to speak in real time. Let's see. Also, one more thing is those of you that are on TikTok, if you see that link on the bottom right side of the screen, you're able to click that link. It'll take you over to YouTube. You can hit the subscription button and subscribe to the YouTube channel where we have all kinds of goodies going on, including this and that merchandise with discounts for the membership and affiliate products. Now, since we're talking about that home safety setup, first I want to dial it all the way back to, remember back in the day when we were kids, and my generation is probably the last generation that has done this. Do you guys remember when we used to have those fire drills where we knew where all of the emergency exits were in our house? We knew where we would meet up in case of an emergency, strategies that we would have in case things didn't go well. I mean, they reinvented that and started putting that into school for terrorist attacks, but we were utilizing that to keep ourselves safe at the house. Now, do you know that in modern times that the average person does not have a strategy to protect the family from a home invasion? And in modern times, we have different kinds of home invasions, because we have those home invasions where somebody wants our TV, and we have those home invasions where they're doing an unlawful no knock, no warrant entrance situation, if you know what I'm talking about. And we got to be able to protect ourselves. Now, one of the first things that we got to do with making sure that our houses are safe. I know back in the day, people used to put bars on their windows to prevent people from breaking in. But the problem with reinforcing your windows to keep people from getting in, it also prevents you from getting out. Not a good thing. So if you have bars on the windows where there are clamps on the window, reinforced clamps on the interior of the window, where the people who are trying to break in can't get through the bars, but you can undo the clamps and take those bars off of the windows, then you would be able to utilize that particular type of feature. But having them permanently mounted to the window where intruders can't get in, that prevents you from getting out, which minimizes the quantity of exit points that you have. Think about scary movies. Everybody runs upstairs and tries to hide. Nobody tries to run downstairs and get out of the house, and then you wonder why the people get taken out inside of the house. Fact is that if you don't know what to do in case of an emergency, that could be you hiding in a closet, thinking that they can't hear you breathing heavy in a house with no sound. You slobbering and nose drooling and everything like that. You can't tell me that they don't know where you at. So hiding under the bed. You think that because you put your hand over your mouth, you breathing heavy, that nobody can hear you breathe? If we can hear you breathe while we're watching a movie, they can hear you breathe in the house. It just doesn't make sense. But here's the thing. Always keep a phone on a charger. Always keep a phone on a charger. Always keep phones within reach, because in case of an emergency, you might have to dial for an emergency number. This is in situations where the problem is not law enforcement. So in these situations, you want to be able to dial 911 or 112 or 119 to be able to get an emergency person on the phone so that they can send somebody to come to the house. But you have to be careful, because as we've done on the show quite a few times before, stories about people who have called for help and then got murdered by the police after the police came over to allegedly help, where the victim of the attack actually became the victim of the attack from law enforcement. So, you got to really be careful when you call for help. But principle, the proper way to protect your house is to notify law enforcement that you're in the process of protecting your house. And between the time that you get on the phone with them and the time that you discharge a firearm, if you're in possession of a firearm, or if you have to use a knife or a baseball bat or something to that effect, that they are aware that you are in a perceivably life-threatening scenario. And because you're in that perceived life-threatening scenario, you end up in a position where you may have to take alternative actions. And those alternative actions end up being them whatever you do to the suspect. And if you have to do that to the suspect before they get there, if you, a lot like George Zimmerman, are still on the phone while you're taking these actions, then that dispatch call could potentially protect you in a criminal case. Doesn't stop you from getting arrested, doesn't stop you from going to jail. It just stops you from staying in jail in some situations, and potentially stop you from being convicted if your actions were deemed justified after the fact. So you got to be careful about the decisions that you make. Things that we want to note. I do electronic locks throughout my house. I recommend them. Why? Because no keys are needed. You can have backup keys for the electronic locks when the battery dies if you don't have them hardwired to the house. But either way, biometric locks are able to, you can open the door by touching the door more often than not. If you have some of those biometric locks that are controlled with your cell phone, you can open those doors with your cell phone. This helps you get in and out of your house with the quickness. It also prevents you from having keys lying around. You can actually put your keys further away from the front door, which prevents them from being able to steal your car keys as soon as they break into your house. And if you have a garage and your vehicle is in your garage and you keep your keys next to your garage, if they make it to your garage, they catch your keys and then they get your car. So the further away from your car and your front door that your keys are, the harder it is for the suspect to get to your keys. Specifically speaking, you want your keys to your exit strategy in the same place as your gun, if you have one. If you don't have one, go get one. But until you get one, you want your like nightstand to have like the keys to your car and potentially your wallet and your cell phone, like right there. As men, as women, the phone and the keys. And yeah, that's pretty much it, because you want to be able to get the keys. You want to be able to get help. I've been talking to some people on the chats, in the comments, and people have been telling me, oh, you can use an O light, blah, blah, blah. O lights are so awesome. And I'm like, bro, O lights are awesome if ops are in your house. O lights are not awesome if you're pointing a O light at your homie, at your mom, at your daughter, at your sister. O lights are not a good thing, because that means that you just drew down on a family member. You understand what I'm telling you? So while people say, oh, well, you know, these O lights are good, bro, you do better with a laser than an O light, because the light only allows you to shine light on a target before you discharge your firearm so that you identify the person before you shoot them. If you're intending on shooting this person, you should be able to traverse through your house in the dark. I'm going to give you a strategy about this real quick. You should be able to traverse through the house in the dark, and you should be able to observe a shadow and unwanted guests get got. Straight up. So if you got a laser, pop, 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 that's it. There should not be a scenario where you have to confirm that this is an actual intruder before you take him down, because if you're in an environment where there are other people allowed to be in your house, you should not be using an O light. You should be using a flashlight. You should be using a flashlight with your firearm aimed downward, where you are able to confirm that the person that you're pointing the flashlight at is not a friend before you point the firearm at the person. Because if you point the firearm at the person and it turns out to be a friend, there's no way you can make that up to them. So you really need to change your mentality when you're thinking, oh, well, I'm going to run up on them with an O light. No. You would do better with night vision goggles. And I had somebody tell me, oh, night vision goggles are not practical. Fuck you. Night vision goggles are very practical, because if you have a big enough house, because I mean, for people with small houses, small apartments, you don't need nothing. You just turn on hit a light switch as you walk out of the bedroom, and that light will illuminate 3/4 of the house, where you can see who's at the other end of the house, because the house ain't but 600 square feet. So in those situations, you only need to have one night light on throughout the entire house. You can see all relevant points of entry, and you can just take shots at whoever's not supposed to be there. You know, the other thing that we look at would be very interesting that people don't pay attention to is when you're in situations where your house is being invaded, you want to be able to make sure that you have an alternative. So if you're in an apartment, there's only one way out, it's the front door. So if you're in a bedroom, you have to come out of the bedroom and go to the front door. If you're in an apartment, you might not be on the ground floor. Your car is not near your apartment, which means that you have to have an alternative. Hacks. For those of you that are not fighters, why the fuck do you not have rope? Look, you're on the second floor. You got 300 foot of rope. And the reason why I say 300 foot of rope is because every 15 inches, you're going to do you one of them fucking Boy Scout knots so that you have you a nice little rope where if your house is being invaded and you don't want to attack your invader, you don't want to stand your ground, you have the ability to tie that rope to the bed railing or tie that rope to something in the closet and close the closet door and then throw the rope out the window and shimmy down the rope. Invaders in the house, you're outside of the house. For those of you that want to get away from your attacker, you know, you ain't never seen this shit on a scary movie. Ain't nobody said, oh, the killer's inside. Let me just shimmy down this. Let me take the sheets and tie them together and then let me shimmy down the side of the house and just take off running down the street until I find safety. Nobody does that. You know, they either hide under the bed, hide in the closet, you know, run through the house playing fucking hide and seek and shit with no weapons and think, oh, he's not going to find me. Fuck out of here. You stay in the house and they're still in the house, they're going to find your ass eventually. Y'all going to cross paths eventually. So if you're under attack, get out if you're not going to defend. But if you're going to defend, here's some other things. Vantage points. In fire drills, we teach you to pay attention to the most reasonable exit to your location so that you can exit the place without having to come in direct contact with the fire to minimize exposure to the smoke. But nobody ever tells you about vantage points in case of a break-in, you know, or in case of an unauthorized entry, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a break-in. Your ex could be in the house, your drunken spouse could be in the house, your in-laws with keys to the house could be coming into the house and you didn't know that they were supposed to be there, and you just have an unexpected or unwanted guest at the house, and you have to identify this person before you take shots. So wouldn't it make more sense for you to be able to have a vantage point where you could peek around the corner and see who it is before that person can see you so that you know who that is before you come around a corner trying to quick draw McGraw the situation and come to find out, oh, that's a family member. So I say that it's highly important to set you up some more vantage points in your house. One of the ways that you can do this, I know ladies are vain, but mirrors that are eye view. My dude, if you have a mirror a reasonable distance away from the edge of a wall, where if your back was to the wall while you're facing that mirror, you could see what's going on around that corner, you would not have to bank the corner and engage the target. You would be able to identify the target from the mirror and you would be able to see what is going on. Now, granted, depending on the angle of the person, if you can see them, they can see you. But depending on where this mirror is placed in your house, not only is it strategically placed and it actually turns out to be an accent to the house, but it gives you the ability back against the fridge. Look at the mirror. You're looking at the person around the corner. You see the person entering the house. You know who that is. You don't have to point the gun at them. You can see them in the reflection in the mirror as they walk through the front door. Depending on the blueprint of your house, if you have a T style hallway, you could either have the mirror in the center of the hallway, or you could have the mirror on one of the walls where you can look at this mirror, look at that mirror, and see the other person. If you set up vantage points, and you might have to adjust these mirrors based on where you put other mirrors so that you can see what's going on throughout your house. But they have these days, Home Depot and Lowe's, tile mirrors. My dog. I understand that females use this, oh, I look so cute, and they use it, the full figure vanity mirror. Fuck that shit. You could take tile mirrors and rubber cement that shit to your damn walls, and it'll never come off the fucking wall. And you would be able to look. You would have certain ones you'd be able to see from your toilet who's around the corner outside your bathroom door. If you're living in one of the neighborhoods where you can't take a shit without somebody coming in your house, you can see who's coming in the house from the toilet if you vantage points. So I say that one of the good tips and tricks to give people about setting their house up for more safety: set up more vantage points, set up more unnatural vantage points, because natural vantage points require you to look around the corner and see who's there. Unnatural vantage points, you literally can look here because you know that you put this here so that you can look at it and see what's going on over there. So that vantage point that you created allows you to stand here and look and see what's going on over there. And if you move it just a little bit over this way, they have to take 2-3 steps up before they can look and see you around the corner, which gives you 4 steps before you got to take shots. Look now, as a quarterback, 4 steps is 3 seconds. I know some quarterbacks that can release the ball inside of 5. So if you can release those rounds inside of 3, you're good to go. Now, I know somebody who told me that, oh, well, they said that night vision goggles is not as good as an Olight. It takes too much time putting it on and this, that, and the third. Well, if you got your Olight fully charged and it's on your pistol, you got to grab your pistol, turn the Olight on, and then walk around with the Olight giving away your location. You got the night vision goggles fully charged and they're by your nightstand with your pistol. You put your helmet on and then you grab your pistol. It only take you a couple seconds to put this shit on. They're like, oh, that's not enough time. Fuck you mean? If you got night vision goggles on with no Olight and you traversing through the house, you can see who that is. You can identify that person without ever pointing a gun at them. But if you have to point a gun at them, you can take rounds at that person and nobody sees where you are. If you're walking around the house with an Olight, they can trace the light and they can come at you. So if your house is big enough for you to be able to have to scour your house and clear certain rooms to make sure that the threat isn't in that room. If the house is that big, then the house is big enough for you to put on some night vision goggles. You could, here's another safety hack. You can get them off of Temu. They've got trim that goes along the floorboard of the houses that are little night lights. All you need is a strip of light in a room from anywhere. You've got black lights also that you can accent your kitchen and your living room and your dining room as night lights that are energy efficient, where if these lights were laced throughout the house in certain ways, you would be able to provide illuminescence in multiple different fashions. Because if you have black lights in the house, the black lights will illuminate most shirts that are not actually black. So shirts with imprints on them, shirts with colors on them, people that have makeup on or some type of facial paint, and sometimes you can really illuminate their teeth and eyes and other such. You can literally spot a person in the dark with black lights. So get black lights. If you have floor lights, if you have lights going across the floor or lights going across the ceiling where you're putting mild illumination into the house, you can see the silhouette of the individual. And a lot of times you can see the entire person depending on where the lighting is placed. You can traverse through the house where, for those of you who have clean houses, you don't have to worry about tripping over shit. You could traverse the house in the dark using the black lights, or you could traverse through a cluttered house with the floor lights, night lights throughout the house. This gives you, and people say, oh, well, I don't need night lights. Night lights are for babies. No, night lights are for safety, buddy. You can see what the fuck's going on. Can't nobody come out the closet on you. If you can see the closet from here, can't nobody come from nowhere else in the house without you identifying them if the house is lit. But if the house is dark, you can't tell if somebody's in a room with you or not. So some of the other things that I think about when we think about safety, when we think about regulations, have habits. Check all the locks of the house. Check all the windows. Make sure the windows are locked. If you're going to leave a window open, that's a situation where if you want to leave a window open and let the cool breeze in, remember I told you about those bars that you put on your windows. Instead of putting those bars on your window as a permanent fixture, if you have the clamps, because you can have the U-shaped brackets that you put up on the window, mount the U-shaped bracket on the window, and then just hook the fucking thing on the window. People see bars on your windows, 9 times out of 10, they're going to assume that shit is bolted down. They're less likely to kick that shit and try to break it off the window. So if they see bars on the window inside of the house, they ain't really going to fuck with that. But you could put a box fan in your window, For those of you that want to have that cool breeze coming into your house, put the box fan in the window, put those U brackets mounted up on the wall, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. Take your bars for your window, hook it up there where it's up there temporarily. It keeps the fan in place, and the people see the bars behind the fan. They assume that they're not going to get into that window. Now you're able to remove those bars at will. You're able to take that fan out of the window at will. You're able to close that window, lock that window, or use that window as an exit. That is a really interesting life hack that people don't think about doing, a house hack where you can actually protect your house and give yourself alternative ways to exit your house at the same time. Another thing that I think about, a lot of us, we spend a lot of money on security systems. They work. I've had them. They can work. They can even Bluetooth to your phone where you can see your house from afar. You can have a Wi-Fi system that is Bluetooth to your cell phone, and you can still see your house from afar and not have to pay somebody a monthly premium. But if you have one of those security systems and you pay for the extra insurance, I would get the more expensive insurance policy, because once they break into your house, they're going to be giving you a shit ton of money off of that insurance claim, off of the break-in. So that money comes back to you. But you just got to think about what is the home invasion rate in your neighborhood, because if 5 out of 10 or 30 out of 50 or 100 out of every 2,000 homes are broken into, where the odds of somebody breaking into your house is 25% in the next 12 months, then get the most expensive insurance premium that you can get. If you're living in one of the neighborhoods where the likelihood that somebody will break into your house is probably once every 5 or 10 years, and you can probably get a cheaper insurance policy. But also, with that being said, you can also not get an insurance policy, not waste all of that money, spending $70, $80 a month for somebody to monitor your house for you. You can get, they have like Ring doorbells that they're not that effective, but they are effective. I would recommend a Ring doorbell specifically for communicating with sons of bitches on the outside of your door. Why? Because if you open your door, you open your door to an invasion. Invasions don't have to happen with guys wearing Scullies and running into your house with Glock switches and, AK-47s. Home invasions can come from people with a badge and just push their way into your house because you opened the front door. So having a Ring doorbell on your house where you can talk to somebody through the door without ever unlocking the door is the safest bet for you. You have surveillance cameras in light bulbs. You have surveillance cameras that are motion sensor cameras that you can put on your house and sync some of this equipment to your electronic devices. I would recommend trying to get you a panic room style scenario in your master bedroom where most of these cameras are on a monitor of some sort where you can watch this shit while you're watching TV kind of situation and know what's going on around your house. But if you're going to nonchalantly allow things to happen around your house, you can get those motion sensors that they make noise. So when somebody walks past that camera, you'll hear a beep. And when you hear that beep, you go check the camera and see what passed by that camera, what triggered that camera. It 2-3 seconds delay behind the fact that the camera caught something. But the fact is that you will know that there are people in your neighborhood. You will know that there's people in front of your house. You'll know the people in your backyard. You'll know the people by your front door or your back door. That provides you with a lot more safety as far as deterring nonviolent or non-determined intruders, because people who are kind of sort of thinking about doing it but not really going to follow through with it if they were afraid of getting caught kind of situation, these types of tools would deter them from coming into your house. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing that's actually really interesting. They've got this little device. It's like a little door hinge, and you see it primarily on Tebow. You get it for like $4 or $5. It's been a rage on the internet lately, and you got a lot of this information in our community tabs in the YouTube page if you join the membership. But the thing is that it's a little door hinge. It's got a little flat door hinge, and then it's got a big block that if you close your door and then flip this little switch thing, it actually reinforces the locking of your door. So somebody can't just bust your door down because of this one little tool. It's the simplest little thing. And I recommend that you put 2 of them on your door, one at the top of the door, one at the bottom of the door. That way, you could put 4 of them on there. You could put 2 of them next to the lock. That way they can't bust the lock out. You know, you really you put this thing up there, and then you want to make sure that whenever you close your door, you hit your locks. You want to hit all four of those things, and make sure that hey, they're not getting in this door. That gives you more time to go and get your arsenal. For those of you who are not smart enough to have your firearm lying around, like I make sure that I leave mine within reach. Everybody else who has theirs in a safe, you know, you want to reinforce your doors. That way nobody can get into your house without knowing what's going on. But I know that if I heard an unexpected noise, like I said before, I got to keep mine within reach. It is within reach. I can literally grab it, pull it out of the holster, and jump over this table and start taking action. You know, people who have to go to a safe, you have to if you got the bioprint safe, you got to get it to recognize your finger. There's a delay because it's got to scan your finger. If you've got the code, you got to remember the code. You got to type in the code. If you type in the code incorrectly, it won't open. You type in the code incorrectly too many times, it'll lock it. You've got those safes where the rotating pin number, where now you got to go find your phone to get the pin number, like the authorization key that you get from Google. You got to get that shit and type it into the thing. So now you got to wait for it to tell you. Then you got to type it in fast and then unlock it. All of that shit, yeah. ATF requires you to do that in order for them to feel like your gun is secured. But let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen. If you got kids and your kids are taught gun safety, they ain't fucking with your shit. If you got kids that is going to get to your shit, it don't matter if you've got a regular like safety deposit box thing that with the little regular 1.5-inch key that you just turn it one. You could open that with a butter knife kind of safe, or if you've got a brick security system where you got to type in a password, put a thumbprint in there, give a DNA sample, spin the wheel, and then pull the door open like it's a freaking bolt. Even if it's that, fact is, your kid has watched you open this fucker more than once. They know what you got to do to get it open. They've prepared to open it. When they're ready to open it while you're not home, they will open it if they want to get to it. So the difference between your gun being in a safe versus your gun being on the table is the respect that your children have for you and your property, that they're not going to grab your firearm unless it is an emergency where they need to utilize your firearm to protect themselves from somebody that doesn't live in their house. So that does not mean that your kids is grabbing your gun and pointing your gun at you because they're mad at you because they couldn't play Madden last night. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about kids that are able to recognize that for some reason you left your firearm at home, you're not at home, and somebody's trying to break into the house, and your children know how to utilize your firearm, and they use that firearm to protect the house. That is the only time they're supposed to be touching your firearm. Outside of that, they're supposed to know mommy or daddy's got guns, and we're not gonna fuck with them. We're not allowed to touch those. That's a no-no. That's like taking daddy's Porsche. You ain't doing that. So this is a nifty tool. The little door hinges that I was talking about that are nifty tools that you can utilize. That and they're like a few dollars. So you can buy them in bulk of Temu. You could probably spend like $25 to get like 5 of them and get it shipped to your house for free. Like they don't even charge shipping after $25. You get like 5 of them. You can put them on you can get 10 of them really and put 4 on your front door, 4 on your back door, and then 2 on your bedroom door. Yeah, 10. I can count. And that way, if they break into the front door, they can't break into the bedroom door until you open that fucking bedroom door. I'm telling you, this is the case. You have more time to get access to your gear. I keep body armor nearby. I'm gonna grab my gun, I'm gonna throw on my body armor, then I'm gonna walk out the door. Most people I have seen in bad accidents with law enforcement officers, and I'm calling them accidents, but they're really just full-on murders where police officers were killing innocent civilians for no reason. But the fact is that in those situations, civilians are not used to wearing body armor because they don't feel like they need to. I don't leave my house without it. If you had it on when they shot you 4 times in the chest, accidentally, you would still be alive. You'd be hurt, might crack a rib, but you'd still be alive. You'd be suing the fuck out of them, but you'd still be alive. But they put 4 holes in your chest and you wasn't wearing a vest. One of them then penetrated your heart. You're not surviving that. So now your family gets to sue on your behalf, but you're no longer alive. My goal is to keep you alive. So barricading the door, not allowing the door to open for anyone, not just strangers. You don't open the door for anyone that you did not give a direct invitation to. That means that you're not talking to the neighbors, you're not talking to the mail lady, you're not talking to UPS, FedEx, you're not talking to Uber Eats, you're not talking to Instacart, nobody, no contact engagement since COVID. You will talk to me through the door or leave your concerns at the door. And after you have vacated the premises, then I will go to the door and I will get whatever it is that you left for me. But until you leave, I will not come outside. No contact. Guaranteed. You will be safe. Now, with that being said, the other thing that most of us do not do, and I just really want to stress this, here in the United States, there is 2 types of trespassing laws that you guys do not pay attention to. Homeowners have the right to put up no trespassing signs on their property. And those homeowners must give consent to entry to the property. Law enforcement has the right, they call it a generalized license, to intrude on private property if you do not have posted no trespassing signs. So there are 2 types of no trespassing signs that you should put up on your property. One is the legal sign that has the law that says that even government officials cannot enter this property without written authorization from the owner or a written authorization from a governmental source with jurisdiction over the property. So that means not even the cops can come onto your property without a warrant, unless existential circumstances dictate that somebody's life is currently in jeopardy on the property, or they are well aware that you are potentially destroying evidence on the property. Now, that part is going to be a slippery slope. Talk about that in a second. The other sign that you should put on your property is unauthorized personnel will be shot on sight. You've already given them a written warning. So for those of you Second Amendment guys that are out there like doctor and I'm going to defend my property at all costs to the last breath, you put up there, you need a warrant or you will be shot. And you put them signs right next to one another. So you don't want to have, you need a warrant over here or you'll be shot over here. You need to have, you need a warrant or you will be shot, or you need to have them like this where you need a warrant or you will be shot. That way, when they read one, they read the other. They just know that your goal is to shoot any unauthorized personnel on the property. Now, since they know that, everybody, including the boys in blue, know that whoever lives here is armed. Now, what people don't know, whether you're armed or not, they just know that whoever lives here is armed. Now, what people don't know is that they're going to approach with caution, which means that they're not going to get too close to the house. They're going to communicate with you from afar. They're not going to really encourage you to swing the door open, because unless they have a warrant out for your arrest, they don't want you to come out shooting. So if you're talking to them through the door, they're going to be cautious enough and they're going to vacate quickly because they want to go home today. Their hazard pay is not worth it a lot of the times. Some of them are dicks. Some of them really are going to push the envelope, and some of them are probably going to retire early as a result. Now, likely apartment complexes, the walkway ain't part of that. So, if you live in an apartment, you put no trespassing signs up. You can put no trespassing signs, but they apply to somebody pushing through the door and getting into the house. So you put your no trespassing signs in your window. You can mount them on your front door, but depending on what kind of complex you have, they may not want you to put that kind of stuff up on your front door. So you put it in the window that's right next to the door, so they see that sign in the window, clearly visible as they approach the door. Because most houses and apartments have a visible window somewhere near the front door. That's the closest that you get in certain apartment complexes. So I understand that apartment complexes don't have as much leeway with putting up those trespassing signs, but you can still post them. You can still post them within reasonable distance to your front door, where people understand that if they come to this apartment, that they're gonna get theirs. They're gonna get what they asking for. In addition to that, renters who rent homes, who rent houses, you can actually put up no trespassing signs on the house that you rent. Because without written authorization from the property owner, the only other person that can give you written authorization to be on the premises would be the tenant, because the tenant has a contract for possession of premises. So without written authorization from a person with authorization or jurisdiction over the property, you still can revoke anyone's accessibility to the property. So the law enforcement has to get written approval from the landlord, or get written approval from you, or get written approval from a judge with jurisdiction over your property. So even with rental properties, we should have no trespassing signs everywhere, because don't nobody give a fuck. We don't want you on our property. It's America. Hey, I could have 100 acres of land and would be pissed off that the first 2 acres were encroached upon. We're not even trying to get 98 acres in. We're just talking about the first 200 feet. We're like, nah, get off my land. So if you're in Texas, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know when them boys jumped that fence, they wasn't trying to be on your property, but when they jumped that fence, they on your land. You like, hell nah. I don't like trespassers. We ain't even trying to get on the fact that you came illegally. We're talking about the fact that you trespassed on my property. There was a no trespassing sign on the other side of that wall when you climbed that wall. That trespassing sign came from me. You see what I'm saying? Now, there are other things that we need to take into account when you're buying a home or renting a home. You have to look at the other amenities of the house, because you got some houses like the lady who had the glass skylight thing. Somebody tried to break in the house through the skylight thing, broke the glass, came down, broke his back in the kitchen. It's a beautiful attraction, but you got to think practicality, ladies. You got to think practicality. That's not always a good thing. Chimneys are not always a good thing. Sometimes the chimneys are good, especially if it funnels down and then they can't actually get in there. But if it's a wide, like 1930s Santa Claus style shimmying down a chimney kind of situation, like no, because somebody can shimmy down a chimney, enter your house. You want to make sure that you cover all vantage points. You want to be able to cover all entryways. You're not exiting out of the chimney, but you don't want anybody to enter the house through the chimney. If the chimney's not always lit, you want to have that fucker barricaded. So there are a lot of tips and tricks that I think about when you have your garage. Your garage door should have a external lock between the garage door and the interior of the house, similar to the type of external lock that you have on your front door. Why? Because if your garage door is open, or if your garage door is broken into where your garage is not accessible by somebody from the outside, you don't want them to just be able to turn the knob and walk in, or use a credit card or a butter knife to turn a knob and walk in. You want them to have to beat this door down to get into the house in order for them to get to get in from the garage. So you want to treat your garage door like your front door. If you're gonna have biometric locks and keypad locks and deadbolt locks on your front door, you want to have the exact same shit on your garage door, in between your garage and your laundry room, your garage and your foyer, your garage and the inside of your house. You want to have that barricaded out, because you are not safe inside of your house just because your garage door is closed. Your garage door can be forcibly opened. For those of you who have sliding glass doors, there's not too much you can do with them sliding glass doors, especially if you got them double doors, 22 feet up and like 22 feet wide. Like, whole damn wall is missing. It's just an all glass door. There's not too much you can do with those particular types of sliding glass doors. But while you can keep them fuckers bolted down, bolted locked shut, where motherfuckers can't get in at night, they're going to break that glass. Recognizing that glass can get broken, you can have a standard, like, artificial wall that you create and put up there in front of your sliding glass door that actually helps for hurricanes and bad storms, where you kind of like bolt this wall into your sliding glass door location. Now, if this was, again, remember I told you that if you have some habits that you do before bed and whatnot, then this isn't going to be strenuous stuff because you're going to do this every day. But you block that scenario up where the sliding glass door is not accessible. Somebody goes around the back of the house, they're thinking, oh, I'm going to get in through the sliding glass door, and they see this big ass fucking wall on the other side of the sliding glass door. They're like, fuck me. Ain't nobody going to think, oh, I can kick that down. If they see a gap up underneath it where it looks like it's just a piece of wood lying up against it, then yeah, they'll try to kick it down. But if you're looking at the fact that this is mounted, which is why you always want to get mounts. You want to get a mount with like an adjustable lever or something like that so that you can unmount the shit whenever you feel like it. But if you get an actual, like it could be a, I wouldn't say concrete because concrete is heavy to move. It could be a concrete designed wooden or polyester wall where you would put it up there, and not polyester. It'd be like a wooden or like plywood or I can't think of the it's kind of like sheetrock, but not really sheetrock. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but you guys know what I'm talking about. You get that particular type of wall, pretty light to move. It just up there, it looks like a whole fucking wall, but it mounts to your wall, and then they can't get into your sliding glass door. And they're not going to want to either because it looks like there's a wall behind the wall. There's a wall behind the glass. It's like, well, if I break the glass, well, how the fuck do I get past that? So you're already starting noise by breaking the glass, and then after and now you have to break through a wall too in order to get into the house. So whoever's in the house already has a heads up because you have to break the glass. And really all you're trying to do is delay the intrusion long enough for you to be able to respond and retaliate. Now, here are some other hacks that's come across my attention. Now, and I find this to be really, really interesting. And typically, your Second Amendment gun owners are going to be on this mentality, and a lot of radicals are going to be on this mentality. Smoke grenades. You can mount them on a wall and take the release cord and attach it like you see on the action movies, the way they do with the grenades, but you have it with just the smoke grenade where it comes across the front door, where somebody busted the door open, smoked and filled the entryway. It delays their ability to take action, gives you the ability to take extra action. You know, these things are ways to help you with being able to defend your home. And then, interestingly enough, the laws do not prevent you from utilizing smoke grenades. They prevent you from using explosive device, incendiary devices. So, you know, you're taking a lot of chances with a flash grenade, but smoke, there isn't anything about smoke. There isn't anything that says, well, you can't discharge a smoke grenade inside of your house. There's no law that says that. So if you have it mounted at your doorway, my recommendation, because if you have one at the top and it's pointed down, and you have one at the bottom and it's pointed up, you're gonna have a lot of smoke face level. So as soon as the door busts open, you got a lot of smoke face level. And if you go to Home Depot, because they're little round tubes that emit smoke, and if you go to Home Depot and get one of those U-shaped plastic pipes, you can actually redirect the shit to the angle that you want it to be at, where it'll release the smoke directly into the face of the person that just busted the door down. And now you're dealing with, you know, that they wasn't ready for that, because as soon as the door flies open and they start seeing smoke coming from everywhere, they're gonna be like, oh shit, and they're gonna back away from the door. They're not gonna charge in to a house that just discharged smoke upon entry, because now they're gonna be wondering, well, what else is in there? The delay. That's all you need, is a delay. And that delay will give you the ability to get yourself together. Grab your self-defense equipment, grab your any of your tactical gear that's nearby. You want to keep tactical gear nearby. You want to, if you've got a full on, like Jason Bourne, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator 3 kind of knee pads, elbow pads, shin pads, full on bodysuit, you got a whole riot outfit, man, you want to have that shit nearby. You want to have that shit nearby. Truth, you really just need a body armor, because I mean, they're either going to hit you in the head or they're going to hit you in the lungs. So if you put some body armor on, then if they hit you in the lungs, you can kind of regroup. if they hit you in the head, you ain't got nothing to think about. So, if you're really trying to go in there and go at it, you want to try to set your situation up for a higher level of success. Now, another hack, I know that they have some people that do carry. You can have mounts for your firearm throughout your house. So if you only have one firearm, you can just mount that some gun wherever you want. Me, myself, I'd have it open mounted where you could just touch it and it's in your hand. You don't want to have something where you have to unlock it or unhinge it or whatever in order to get it, because in an emergency, no matter how confident somebody is in an emergency, everyone always has the devil on the right shoulder and the angel on the left shoulder, where one is saying do it, the other one's saying no, don't do it at the exact same time. So there's hesitation, there's flinching, and all this stuff is going on while you're trying to go for this firearm, and you don't want to have issues with getting your firearm. So you want to put it in something that's a free use holster, open holster, quick draw holster, something where you can touch it, grab your gun, the gun is in your hand. They have some that are really awesome, really cool, really nifty biometric locks that qualify for ATF, where you have to touch it. It takes 3 to 5 seconds to get the gun unlocked, but you get it. You can mount it wherever you want, and then you can use that to store assault rifles and stuff like that throughout your house without having to put it into an actual wall safe, because it does have a sufficient biometric lock on it, or a keypad lock that's on it, where you have to do what you got to do to get it to unlock off of the wall mount so that you can utilize the firearm. Those are pretty nifty, but you notice how I said that mine is within reach. I like to be able to make sure that, and I have one. It's a very, very cheap, very simple one, but all I really have to do is just flick the button and the whole holster falls off of the firearm, and then the firearm is accessible. So I don't necessarily have to do too much to get my firearm out of the holster. But notice that when I had I also had the extra mag on the holster. So I carried 2 extendos on that, just to make sure that and this is commuting throughout the house. This is going to the bathroom. This is cooking in the kitchen. I can't go get Kool-Aid out the fridge without carrying like 40 rounds at least. So if it happens, you know that you're going to do the best that you can to protect your house. But if it happens, that's a lot of rounds. Typically only takes 3 to 5. Even when the police murder suspects at traffic stops, they typically only use one clip. They typically only go through 10 to 15 rounds. The only times that they do overkill and reload and reuse an extra clip is when they were forced to chase the guy for an extended period of time, and now they're so mad at him that they continuously unload on him and continue to reload on him. And it's easy when your trigger finger is like this. It's easy for you to let loose 19 rounds on an extended what they use in 22s. I think they might be using Glocks, standard issue Glocks, but a lot of them have M&P shield, or not shields, M&P Smith & Wesson 9mm that have the 24 round extendo clip. And typically it's not that hard to go through 24 rounds. Even with a semi automatic firearm, if you're pulling the trigger real fast, you could probably discharge 24 rounds in 24 seconds. And then they're going to reload and discharge again. So inside of 2 minutes, you just hit this guy with 50 rounds per person. So it's possible. So, me, I say, because I tell people who have Glock switches, I think that that's a stupid thing to have a Glock switch, because you use 40, 50 rounds inside of 3 seconds. It took you an hour, probably in some situations, at least 15, 20 minutes to load this 50 round drum. But it took you 3 seconds to unload that 50 round drum. That's not effective. That's not efficient at all. For those of you that are utilizing, because I'm going to get to other weapons as well, but I like to talk to people about guns. But for those of you that are utilizing other forms of firearms, I got you. But when you're utilizing something that's not a handgun, like a shotgun or an assault rifle or a long rifle, you have to think about the design of your house. If you have to do this up and over motion to go through your house, that's not an effective firearm. If you have to go down and up to walk through your house, that is not an effective firearm to utilize in your house. Because if you can't pivot from right to left, if you can't do a 360 turn with that firearm fully extended, that firearm is too long in that particular location of the house. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have it if you're standing on one end of the hallway on the second floor and the target's on the other end of the hallway. I'm just saying that if you've got to turn around, you have to reposition your shot. It's not practical. Now, everyone else who's not using firearms, y'all need to learn how to grab y'all some knives and have knives and machetes and all kinds of other stuff throughout the house. And I understand that people say, oh, well, what about the children? What about the children? Look, if you take the time and the effort to strategically position certain shit in certain places as if it was decorations, I can guarantee you that you will be in a position where a lot like a lot of those action movies, you'll see that there are swords on the walls. They're fucking sharp. There are knives and stuff on the walls. There's guns mounted on the walls. There's stuff in the closet. They could push a button on a nightstand and some weapons come popping out. They got stuff under the cushions. They got stuff under the mattress. It's in the vanity mirror behind the toilet. Like there's weapons there. If you put self-defense equipment throughout your house, you will never be caught in a situation where you don't have it. So would somebody be able to break into my house while I'm in the shower and now I'm unarmed? No. There's a mount in the bathroom. There's one in the bathroom. Like, can you get into my bathroom while I'm taking a shower? No. The latches are on the bathroom door. The most vulnerable places that you are in your house, that's where you're supposed to have extra reinforcement. That way they can't break into that room before you wake up, which gives you the ability to protect yourself and protect your family. You want to have that extra reinforcement in the bathroom so that they're not able to catch you while you're on the toilet. You got an opportunity to stand up, pull your britches up. You know, the one of the things that we never do is we never figure out, well, how do I protect myself when I'm taking a shower? How do I protect myself when I'm using the toilet? How do I protect myself while I'm cooking? That's easy. Hit them with the pot. How do I protect myself when I'm sleeping? How many people right now that just jumped in? I see half of y'all coming through here. How many of y'all got a plan if you wake up and the attacker's in the room? What's your solution? What is your course of action? If your house was invaded and you are a heavy sleeper and they're now in your bedroom, what is your course of action? We ain't planning for stuff like that. How do we know? How do we know what we should be practicing doing? How do we know what should we do to circumvent certain things? Do you know that problem solving requires you to prepare for the known variables? You can't prepare for every unknown variable. But if you start preparing for known variables, the what if of the unknown variable starts happening. And when you start preparing for the what if of the unknown variable, yes, some people are going to call you paranoid, but paranoid is being overly prepared at the most inopportune time, which also means that you are ready for problems, even when you don't have problems. But when you do have problems, the zombie apocalypse can occur and you will be well aware. You'll be prepared for it like there's no tomorrow. But at the same time, military state can occur and you not be prepared for it. And you would be undersupplied and be regretting every decision that you didn't make up until that situation occurred. And you'll be sitting over there wishing that you had been more prepared. I'm going to be honest with you, y'all. Things is changing for 2025 in America. So there's going to be so many things that we can do that we used to not be able to do. And there's going to be so many things that we are not going to be able to do that we used to be able to do. And with all of these changes that are about to happen, especially since, how this man get shot at again? My homeboy is a big fan of Donald Trump. And he tries to play it off. Two of my homeboy's biggest fans, he's the biggest fan of, is Donald Trump and LeBron James. I don't know why he favors. I don't know. He's got poor taste, but he favors Donald Trump. So as soon as they shot at Donald Trump, he had to text me in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning, and let me know they took shots at Donald Trump again, and they missed again. Some people are gonna say conspiracy. He's doing the shit on purpose. You know, I tell my homeboy, you know, it's wild imagination. I mean, not imagination, admiration that you have for the person. It's a wild admiration that you have for this person. Because like you're always coming to me with stuff that happens to him. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't care if somebody took shots at him. Anybody took shots at me. But, you know, me and him had that discussion about it, and he wanted to tell me, you know, hey, you know, oh, well, you know, it's funny to him. This isn't funny. This is the same guy that we had the morals and ethics show about, and he could not rationalize his own morals and ethics. But he says, oh, it's kind of funny that, you know, guy gets shot at because people don't like him and he has bad intentions and he's a bad guy, and because you can't vote against him, you take shots at him. And I'm like, well, hold on. You got to think about what you just said, because that was like 13 double negatives at the same time. First and foremost, whether or not the guy's a bad guy or not is irrelevant. Whether or not he has good intentions or bad intentions are irrelevant, because any negative intentions that you would perceive that he has is towards the minorities and the homosexual groups. Outside of that, he has decisions that have been made to positively impact wealthy people and negatively impact the working class. But what you don't see is the poor people taking shots at him. What you don't see are the minority people taking shots at him. What you see is middle class and upper middle class Caucasian people taking shots at him. So $50,000-$70,000, because you don't see Trevor from the trailer park shooting at him. You don't see, you know what I'm saying? You know, Beavis and Butthead shooting at him. You don't see folks that his policies that Project 2025 is pushing would negatively impact that person that's shooting at him. The only thing that you see is that he says what needs to be said to win the black vote, because the majority of voters are minorities, because the majority group has minority authority, right? So he says and does what needs to be said and done to win the majority vote, but that does not play into in any way, shape, or form any of his ill intentions, because his gold shoes and his Bible had nothing to do with why he got shot at the first time, and the hooker that he had in 2017 had nothing to do with why he got shot the second time. And just because they dropped the charges on him don't change the fact that they were going to freaking give him immunity on the shit anyway, which is why they represented him and delayed his case until they could find a reason to throw his case out. I mean, you just knew he was convicted, and he wasn't convicted at the same time. You just knew that they weren't gonna finish that shit. Now you're looking at how the largest majority of individuals right now are the elites getting together and banding a team to fix the country. The country wasn't never broken. It's corrupt, but it was never broken. But you're gonna tell me that, oh, they're popping shots at one guy. Ain't nobody taking shots at Elon Musk, but Elon Musk made a bulletproof truck. Not bulletproof. It's resistant to 9mm, not sniper rifles. But the principle of the fact is, ain't nobody shooting at Elon. You see what I'm saying? So he tells me, you know, that's funny. Somebody's shooting at this guy. I don't find that funny. I think it's horrible somebody's shooting at that guy. But I don't think it's horrible because a guy doesn't deserve to get shot. I just think it's horrible that they keep fucking missing, because you're fucking show. Because him getting shot went viral, so I don't go viral. Like, what the fuck? CNN is taking my airtime. Like, pissed off, man. So, but seriousness. I don't feel like, if it's wrong to take people's lives, that, oh, you know, it's funny that somebody's trying again, because the last person that tried to take his life lost their life, and this person that tried to the claim that he tried to take his life or whatever, apparently got detained by law enforcement. So if he survives, he's going to be charged with treason, and then he's going to be put into a black site. And whatever happens to him for the remainder of his life will not be public knowledge. But the guy that took shots at the presidential campaigners not going to see freedom again unless they become an op. So one of the claims that happened in the media somewhere between CNN and Fox, somebody was talking about how allegedly the dude was talking about like Harris and somebody campaign stuff. But again, I sit back and I think you've got one policy that's 950 plus pages long that's telling you that they're going to do away with all of the pro-pride laws. They're going to do away with Social Security benefits or reduce them for the people who don't already have them. They're going to do away with student loans or reduce accessibility to them for those people who don't already have them. They're going to do away with debt forgiveness compensations. They're going to make it mandatory for you to pay for your own Medicare. They're doing away with tax deductions for city and state for individuals, not corporations, individuals. So city and state tax breaks, you're not going to get those anymore for individuals, but they're going to provide extra tax breaks for big business, high earners. So if you're making $50,000 to $100,000 in fucking Bitcoin, they got tax breaks for you. But if you're making $70,000 at a fucking Waffle House, there are no tax breaks for you. Makes no fucking sense. But you know, that's his policies, and then the other person's policies. Like, who else do you vote for? Yeah, I know. The other person's policies hit with abortion laws, pro-abortion laws. Keep in mind, pro-abortion laws. We're going to aid in the ability to kill kids. Then they have the anti-Project 2025. So if you don't like him, vote for us. And then you also have the hidden fees thing that they're going for. That's pretty much all that they're pitching, from what I understand. And then the other thing was assisted deportation. So they're going to help. They're not finding Americans jobs in the U.S. You have homeless people sleeping on a sidewalk and getting put in prison for it. But they're giving housing to immigrants, illegal immigrants, and then aiding those illegal immigrants in finding employment back in Mexico before they send them back to Mexico. So they're gonna come here because they need money. You're going to give them shelter and then help them find a job and then bring them back. You could be spending that money towards helping Americans find employment and give them shelter so that they're not sleeping on a sidewalk, so that you don't have a homeless population. You just have a poverty population. You have a low-income, poor, working class, but you don't have a homeless population. You only have a homeless population because you gave up on a large percentage of the U.S. population, but you're willing to spend $13 million a week in another country rebuilding that country. I don't understand. I'm telling you, if I was running, I'd be running for other shit. I'd be focusing on other shit, but I ain't running. Oh, Rudimus, I just seen you. My bad, bro. Oh, that was just a minute or two ago. What's going on, man? So you got back to 2000. That's good. Use rapid growth in chess. I really appreciate you. Look. I got to put him up there because he was throwing out shout outs. I gotta say, hey man, I was on the other one because I'm streaming between y'all and TikTok because I haven't got my stream key from TikTok yet. So since I'm streaming YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch from StreamYard, and then I'm also streaming from TikTok on the other side, I have to spend more time monitoring TikTok than I monitor this one because TikTok has this thing that comes across the screen where I have to take a little puzzle piece and slide it over so that they know that I'm still here. when they don't have a lot of people circulating through the comment section. So, I didn't see you at first, but I every couple minutes, every 2-3 minutes, I bounce back and I check the comment section to see how many people are commenting, because I've got you and I've got Red Void from Twitch up here. So I know y'all are in here. I know Liberty Twitcher comes through a lot of the times. So I try to double back to make sure that you guys are still in here. So you got up to 2,000 on your chess game. Have you been playing against Mr. Pibbs? I mean, he's adequate at chess. I don't spend a lot of time doing chess. I'm pretty decent at chess, but he's adequate at chess. You should send him a challenge. See if you guys can go a few rounds. See if if you can knock him down a few pins. Because I know that when I was playing him, I was blowing up all of his pieces. I was playing a chess game with nukes. I tell you what. So I was blowing up all of his pieces and sinking his battleship and all kinds of crazy stuff with the chess game. It got so bad he stopped playing chess and started playing Connect 4. And that didn't work out well. And then he went to Battleship game, and that didn't work out well. And then we stopped just playing board games on the podcast. I was like, well, you got to keep it interesting, buddy. You got to keep it interesting. Because if you don't keep it interesting, he's more focused on trying to win than trying to have a good time and have a podcast. So, I like competition, but I actually like to let people win every now and again, and then try to earn my clout by beating them after the fact. Because it's funner as the underdog if you can win. It's just not fun if you always lose. And it's boring to you if you always win. So, in both scenarios, letting the other person win is better sportsmanship when you're playing the same person like 5 or 7 rounds. Because, how much pride do you have to say that I beat the same person 30 times in a row? Like, after the first 2 or 3 times, it's not even interesting to you anymore. So, I don't know. But it's good to see you, buddy. It's great that you had slid back into the show. So yeah, back to some of the rants that I go on, because I like to spin it quite a few times. I want to make sure that we touch a lot of bases here. The fact is that when the guy is taking shots at him, first guy took shots at him. We don't know what he took shots at him for, but he stole his daddy's gun and went out there and took shots. I was saying before that the owner of the firearm should have been held responsible for the firearm being taken out of his possession, because ain't nobody taking my firearm out of my house with me still being alive and going to assassinate or attempt to assassinate somebody else with my knowledge of that. Talking about I'm going to call the police. No. You're going to have to shoot me first and then go out there and go try to take out somebody else with my gun. That way I can say that I did everything that I could to defend him and to defend myself and protect my firearm. And now that I'm in the hospital, I can't defend my firearm. That's the only time that they should say, well, we're not going to hold you responsible. For him to go and take your firearm wasn't secure. It doesn't matter if it was in a safe. It doesn't matter if it was leaned up against a door. It doesn't matter if it was sitting on the front porch holding up the chandelier. Fact is that if your child can walk outside of your house with your firearm and go somewhere and take shots at somebody else, you were irresponsible as a parent and an adult with a firearm. Because you don't have to have your firearm locked away to keep somebody from fucking with your shit. Your shit is supposed to be where you can see it. And it is supposed to be where they're not going to try you and fuck with it. Now, once you have that understanding, they ain't playing with it. And you can teach your children as young as 7, 8 years old how to use firearms, how to clean them, how to gut them, how to load them, keep one in the chamber. Don't point it at somebody unless you intend on using it. You could teach them all the rules and responsibilities of a firearm, the importance of life, the importance of obeying the laws, the consequences behind discharging your firearm for self-defense or unnecessary offense, because they're equal consequences. The only difference is that one might get you off on a charge eventually and the other one will definitely not. So when you understand that if you pull this trigger, there are consequences behind pulling this trigger. You must know what you are trying to do before you try to do it. Set the consequences of your actions before you perform the action. I say that on the show all the time. I'm uniform about my shit. If you watch my podcast long enough, you come to find out, hey, he done said this quite a few times on the show. He done said this. He done co-signed on this shit. So like I should write a book about some of the stuff I be saying on the show to the magnitude where you can be like, yup. This the Xander Scrolls. Chronicles of Xander. If you flip through them pages, like you live by this, you won't die because of it. He'll keep you going. He'll keep you going. But principle. And that's why we had the show yesterday when we were talking about uniformity. We were talking about ethics. We were talking about standing on principle. We were talking about doing the same thing all the time and the difference between morals and ethics of it. Because if you're not going to let somebody walk away with your shit, you're not going to let nobody walk away with your shit. You're not going to say, oh, well, I'm going to protect my firearm unless it's my son. Nah. Get your own, boy. Get yours the way I got mine, boy. You ain't going to run off with my shit, son. Nah. You want to go take that guy out? You go take that guy out with your own shit. I help you go get it. But you ain't taking him out with my shit. That ain't no. So the other gentleman that was out there taking shots at him, and this was out there in Florida, which is the only interesting part. None of this is funny, but the only interesting part is shots happen in Florida. Florida is busy. Florida is really, really busy because they got Disney World and like 20% of Disney World employees is always getting caught in a trafficking ring. So they got stuff to do out there. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, you've got Home Slice coming out of nowhere, looking like a Gator fan, and they're catching him, no shirt on, country hat, looking like Larry the Cable Guy, and he just taking shots at why? It is too hot for that in Florida. September, it just did get down to 120 degrees. It was hotter than that. Why the hell is you worried about? Why can't you wait until wintertime? That way, it's cool. It's cool. You make it seem like he ain't going back to Florida again. He going back to Florida. You just made. I swear to God, the next campaign he gonna be playing some Tupac. He gonna be playing some Rick Ross. Tupac's back. He gonna be playing. Come on, bro. You thought that he didn't do enough with Many Men from 50 Cent, and you did this. If you didn't want the man to get elected, why would you take shots at him and miss a second time? Do you know the integrity behind a fighting president, a man that is not afraid to get shot? Like that is clout in and of itself. You've got some ignorant ass voters that don't know nothing about the policies that will vote for him on that principle alone. The fact that this man got shot at twice in less than 6 months and he is still alive and he is still standing up for whatever it is that he believes in, no matter if what he believes in is right or wrong. The fact is that he got the balls to stand up in front of millions of people knowing that somebody will take shots at him again. And he is applying for a job where for the next 4 years, if he survives that long, that they will potentially be taking shots at him for the next 4 years. Do you understand how the CIA is happy that they finally got stuff to do? But how the fuck do you believe that is not going to help this man's career? How do you believe that ain't going to help that man's career? You would have did better getting him in another sex scandal. Setting him up with somebody that looked like she was 30, but she was 13. You would have did better doing that than taking shots at the man and missing. Bro. Because at least I could say the reason why the other man got missed could have been because they had shot him in the head. They arrested you, so you literally full on miss. Like you was wide right. You what the fuck was you aiming for? And now you're gonna spend the rest of your life in prison. So these are the chaotic, idiotic, simpleton things that happens in this country that make me tell y'all got to protect yourselves, because we didn't already gone through between 2017 and 2024 where they were shooting up minorities in churches, they were shooting at minorities in Walmarts, they were shooting at each other in parking lots. Okay, this ain't. Look, it's situations where it's just a misunderstanding. Y'all beefing over misunderstandings. This isn't situations where you did something to my family member and I'm trying to get revenge on you. That's a little bit more valid than the its own principle. Like you literally running up on a stranger, shooting at a stranger because of beliefs, because of values, ethical values, moral values. You're running up on strange folks, shooting at them because they do not believe the same thing that you believe. What happened to the United States' ability to have the freedom to say and do whatever the fuck you want to do, as long as you don't negatively impact somebody else's fucking beliefs? So if I think the way I want to think, and you don't agree with what I got to say, you should be able to recognize that fuck me and my opinion is because it's not important to you, but fuck you and your opinion because it's not important to me. That should be the end of it. You shouldn't have to come to my house and kick my door in and try to take shots at Xander because this and that is something that you don't agree with on a time and basis. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. What happened to freedom of speech? So freedom of speech comes with freedom of opinion, and freedom of opinion comes with freedom of individual beliefs, and freedom of individual beliefs comes with individual values, and freedom of individual values and individual beliefs and individual opinions and individual right to say individual speeches that you stand on gives you the ability to curse somebody out in the United States, regardless of their age, and nobody do nothing about it. Why? Because the most you did was hurt that man's feelings. That's it. Back in the day, disrespect led to gunshots. These days, having an opinion leads to gunshots. What the hell? What the hell? So when I start talking to y'all about protecting y'all house, these life hacks to twist and mingle and set yourself up for the apocalypse 2025, I want y'all to understand that y'all need to start preparing yourselves. Oh, another life hack, ladies and gentlemen. It is legal to put up an electric fence around your house. You just have to make sure that it is not within a certain parameter of the street, the sidewalk, where people can fall on it by accident and electrocute themselves. But if you have an electric fence on your property, I would put it 20 feet away from the sidewalk. If you have enough distance, put you an electric fence 10 feet away from the front porch. Put you a 20-foot tall electric fence with barbed wire on it. Put high voltage on that fence. Electric bill might be a tad bit high, but who gives a fuck? Because when you turn that motherfucker on, ain't nobody getting in. You can have your front door open, ain't nobody getting in. Can't nobody come talking about something. I just want to ask some questions. You touch that fence, that'll be the last question your ass asks, huh? You're gonna be like the little boy on Jurassic Park. Fuck around, find out. So that's all I have for y'all. When it comes down to nifty tips and tricks on how to take care of your house and how to hook your house up for safety measures. Because I mean, outside of reinforcing your garage, there really isn't much left to do besides put you a crow's nest if you have a 2-story house or a 3-story house. If you have an attic above your 2-story house, set you up a crow's nest so you can be like that dude in New York, taking shots out their attic where can't nobody get to you. They had to tear the house down with a ball and chain in order to get the guy, because otherwise they wasn't gonna get him. I think he laid down 15 bodies before he got taken down himself. If you're strategic about yours, there is no such thing as an invasion, because you will be sure to catch them out the attic. You'll be sure to hit them like a scary movie. You'll be sure to catch them like Omen. They're not going to be like Ouija, like The Conjuring. They're not going to be able to go too far in your house. But if you don't prepare, then you're not going to be prepared. And if you got a basement, for those of you that got basements, if you got a basement, don't let your kids build grenades and explosives and stuff like that in the basement so that they can take it to their high school during lunchtime. You want to have your basement reinforced as a panic room where can't nobody get in that motherfucker. That matter of fact, if one more tip and trick that I'm going to give you guys, if you can build a panic room in your house, do it. Set it up where it is a hidden room in your house where if they do not have the floor plan of your house, they don't know that that room exists. Then you want to make sure that you put yourself so far into this location where nobody can tell that you're in there and they're less likely to find you. You want to also make sure that those particular type of panic rooms don't have an exterior window on it. That way nobody knows that that is a bedroom, because every bedroom has a window on it. So if there is no bedroom there, if there is no visible observation that there is a bedroom there, then you can turn that into a reasonably good panic room where can't nobody get inside your house. But if you got a basement, panic room, straight up. Very rarely do raids happen where they check the attic first. They do eventually go to the attic, but if you're going to have an attic, you want to reinforce the attic because people shoot through the floors, they shoot through the roof. So you want to have some type of plating. I would use the NIH or NHI 3 stage 3A or 3A plus to reinforce that area. Get you some bulletproof glass, if you will, and reinforce that area. Shit's expensive, not gonna lie, but if you're trying to protect yourself, your best bet is to protect yourself. That's another thing you could do for your sliding glass doors is replace them with bulletproof glass. Yeah, it's expensive, but if you own your fucking home, it makes more sense to have bulletproof glass because bulletproof glass is hurricane resistant. So get you some bulletproof glass. It's going to be less likely that they're going to break into that motherfucker real quick because you got bulletproof glass. So you don't want shatterproof glass. You want bullet resistant glass. That way they got to hit it 1,000 times. They got to shoot at it quite a few times. They got to knock it down with an axe quite a few times in order to get in. Nothing is virtually relatively impenetrable. It is just stuff that is designed to heavily delay home invasions and heavily delay intrusions. One day I'm going to have to give y'all some tips and tricks on what kind of vehicles that y'all can get to reinforce yourselves in traffic situations so that you don't have to worry about people breaking into your cars while you're still in them, with or without a badge. Because, I mean, if they touch the doors and they get electrocuted, they can't get in. So, you can kind of protect yourself in that fashion. I would electrocute the fuck out of everybody. I'd be in the back of that bit, setting it up like Breaking Bad. We getting out of here one way or another. But like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. So you guys here on TikTok, I'm gonna let y'all go first. I really appreciate you. Is that Fontaveras? Oh my goodness, how you doing, Fontaveras? You called me at the end of the show. Y'all need to know we are live at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific. It is 10:30 Eastern time. You're an hour and a half late. You should have came an hour and a half ago. We didn't talk about all kind of shit in the last hour. Your ass get here late. You're here an hour and a half earlier than you would have been here when we started. Every day of the week, 7 days a week. The show must go on, even when the Wi-Fi down. Speaking of Wi-Fi, as I log out of here, I'm going to let y'all know, ladies, as long as the situation don't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So, ladies, make it make sense. Now, for the rest of y'all, I was telling y'all about this Wi-Fi situation. Now, with the Wi-Fi situation, I have not gotten the replacement, right? So, even though I have not gotten the replacement, I did get them to send me a whole nother one. So I got two coming, not just the one not just the one that it's supposed to replace the broken one. They're sending me a newer one than the one that I've got. So remember I told y'all that the one that I had, I said, well, what happens if the whole line is defective? Well, the one that they gave me was supposed to give me like a $20 discount on my old internet service. The one that they're offering me this month is supposed to give me $30 off of my current internet system, which also means that my original bill was $50. They gave me a $60 plan that took $20 off, so my bill is now $40. Now my $60 plan, they're taking $30 off, for my bill will be $30. So I benefited in a way because in the future, instead of me paying $50 a month for the home internet that I was originally offered, I'm now going to be paying $30 a month for the home internet that I was originally offered. So I'm saving from the day I started until now, I'm saving $20 a month. So that extra $10 that they're going to be shaving off of my home internet should bring me down to like $310 a month, which is still a lot of fucking money. But you got to understand that I got a hotspot with Mr. Pibbs. I've got the home internet over here. I've got 5 cell phones. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. This is how you run a business. So, like I told y'all, and I luckily I've got all of this stuff going on, because with all of this stuff that I got going on, I'm actually still able to provide you guys with a live show. Because if I only had the home internet, I wouldn't even been able to use the show. I would not have been able to work this past 2 weeks. I wouldn't have been able to run the podcast this past 2 weeks because I wouldn't have had no internet. So I am glad that I got all of these extra devices all over the place, costing me shit tons of money, because I have a fallback plan. But notice how by having a fallback plan, because I spent all of this extra money on a fallback plan, even if I didn't need it, I had it. Now that I need it, I can use it. If you do this with setting up your home, using some of these safety hacks to set your home up for any type of unexpected intruder or any type of unexpected guest, then you will be preparing yourself for stuff that you don't need until you need it. Then when you need it, you might have a machete in the umbrella holder. So if somebody come and get you by the front door and you can't retreat to go and get your defense weapon, you can just pull the machete out of the umbrella holder right by the front door, and you got that person right there by the door. Like you just got to find other ways to hold it down. And yeah, even in Romania, even in other countries, like people, you're prepared. You're prepared because in places like China and Japan, you can't always readily use firearms. In Korea, you can't use firearms for self-defense. So you got to have other ways. You got to be able to hack something up sometimes. You got to be able to get you a machete or a samurai sword or a katana or something like that that is somewhere within reach by the front door, the back door, or something like that. So when shit goes down, that you got something that you can use to protect yourself and protect your family. Because if you don't take advantage of these life hacks now and set yourself up for success now, that when it does come time to take action, you're not going to be ready to take action. See what I'm saying? And if you're not ready to take action, then you're going to be sitting there pissed off and afraid and embarrassed because you're not able to protect yourself. And as men, if we're not able to protect ourselves, we're not able to protect our families. You know that once the chaos subdues itself, once the situation resolves itself, your wife or your girlfriend is going to talk to you like shit for the rest of your relationship. If you can't man up and protect your household, your wife or your girlfriend will talk to you like shit after that situation resolves itself. So, fellas, I'm going to tell you right now, you got to make sure that you set it up in ways where you got it like that. You can mount weapons to the back of the door. You can mount weapons to the wall behind the door. You can mount weapons to the wall next to the door, so that if your right hand is on a doorknob, your left hand is on a weapon. If you're opening the door with your left hand, your right hand's on a weapon. If the door is cracked open, because most doors open inward so that they can kick the door in on you. If the door is cracked open, you've got a hand on a weapon. So if they kick the door open, you got a hand on a weapon. You can hack their ass. It's just you gotta have stuff. I personally, here go one more thing I didn't give TikTok. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Steel doors. If you can get one, invest in one. Replace your wooden door with a steel door. They can't buckshot it. They can't hack it down with a knife like talking about it. It is not gonna stop lots of high caliber firearms, but it will stop the low caliber firearms. It will stop axes. It will stop knives. It will stop picking locks and all this other stuff when you have biometric shit and you have steel doors, because they have to get through that steel door, and the time it takes for them to bust down that steel door, the time it takes for you to get ready for them to bust down that steel door. So you got plenty more time to set up your traps and set up your home invasion system, so that when it is time for it to happen, when it does go down, that you are able to say, all right, boom. So forcible entry, smoke grenades, machetes, flashbangs, unloaded magazines, all this other stuff happens to protect your house because castle doctrine gives you the lawful right to defend your household from unlawful invasion. And it does not say from who. And then the law requires you to call 811 to reasonably be able to dig a hole on your property and fill that hole back in. Between those two scenarios, because you only have to dial 911 when a crime has been committed, is so lawful self-defense of the home is not a crime, so you don't have to report lawful self-defense. You have to report the potential crime. So if you own your property and you're smart, you buy exotic plants, you dial 811, you dig a hole, you get some plants on the endangered species list, you plant them on top of the hole, they're going to have hell uprooting those plants because they're on the endangered species list. They're not supposed to be removed. Dig a hole, bury it, exotic plants, done. House is safe. No case. I'm just trying to tell y'all, if you know the laws, if you know your rights, if you know what you can and cannot do, there are other ways to go about taking care of yourself. But you have to remember that Benjamin Franklin said it himself, that everybody is entitled to their rights as well as their civil liberties. No one should sacrifice their civil liberties for security. And they are not supposed to sacrifice their security for their civil liberties. And anyone who sacrifices one for the other doesn't deserve either. So if you are going to stand on your rights for your civil liberties and you're going to maintain your right for security, you must do so within the confines of the law, but you must also know the law in order to know what you can and cannot do. And then don't just take my word for it, do your research on it, because the more you know, knowing is half the battle, like G.I. Joe. And I guarantee you that you will be able to go where you need to go and do what you need to do to take better care of yourself, take better care of your family, and live a safer, healthier life. So for the rest of y'all that hung out for the extra time after I logged off of TikTok, I really appreciate y'all staying with me. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow night. So thanks again for showing us love on This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And again, see y'all tomorrow night, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific. Probably right around 9:10, because, you know, I've been starting a little bit late since I ain't got this router up yet. But once I get that router up and going and we up to full capacity, where we doing 300 something gigs up and 300 something gigs down, where everything's super high speed, we gonna be starting 5 minutes early. So till then, you know, we starting at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific, but it might be like 10 minutes after. So I ain't mad at you if you come 10, 15 minutes after, but just know at the top of the hour, that's when we supposed to be here. Oh, Cyber Eagle. What's going on, Cyber Eagle? What's going on, bud? He's got Christmas carols up there. Look, y'all got y'all gonna put up a bunch of different What's going on, buddy? We got Brutal One fans. So y'all got Christmas carols going on. Hey, we're gonna be doing all kinds of Christmas carols coming up soon, right? Because, you know, Halloween coming up. We got to be talking about what's going on for Halloween on 2024's Halloween in comparison to what we had pre-COVID versus what we're going to be doing for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I appreciate you and your homeboy putting up those Christmas carols on our way out the door today. So we're signing out right now, but I wanted to make sure that you guys got up here real quick before we actually walked off the air. But thank you very much for tuning in. Oh, yeah. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific. You have a good night tonight. I tell you what, guys. I said before, if you guys want to be on the show, you want to get your 15 minutes of fame. Typically, I prefer appropriate behavior, but Christmas carols is not it wasn't inappropriate. But if you guys want to do some shout outs to your friends and family members and have appropriate conversation on the show, even if we're not talking about the topics of interest, I strongly encourage you guys to definitely jump up onto the show and do your what's ups. I mean, you can talk to your homeboys, tell your girlfriend you love her, whatever you want to do on the show, especially if it's appropriate. Give fond wishes to your mom or your grandma and special things, stuff to that effect. To talk to somebody on the other side of the planet, whatever you want to do, greatly appreciate that. So the very few podcasts give you the ability to get your 15 seconds of fame. So, don't take advantage of that and be dicks and try to be inappropriate on the podcast. Definitely don't do that. But, with all due respect, if you're going to get onto the podcast and do something appropriate, reasonably monitor it. And we're going to make sure that you guys do get up here, hopefully with a level of reasonable respect. And we're going to have us a little bit of entertainment. Beyond that, yeah, I told you guys we was going to tap out. Rev Boy, hey, today you hung out long enough for you to see some characters, I tell you. But it's all right. We're going to have fun. Stay with us. We'll see you tomorrow night.